Welcome to the T-Pac Arcade. Today's game is Werewolf, the Last Warrior for the Nintendo Entertainment System. In this 1990 action platformer from Data East, the entire Earth is imprisoned by the mad scientist Dr. Faryan and his bio-monsters. So as the title implies, humanity's fate rests with the Last Warrior, who's also a werewolf. But not just any werewolf, a werewolf with a giant scythe for each hand, which is great for cutting up bio-monsters, but not so great for eating with a soup spoon, using a pen to sign your name, or scratching your back without needing stitches after. Luckily, our only concern here is hacking and slashing bad guys. 5 levels of hacking and slashing bad guys, that is, and they're all filled with dangerous enemies, like gunmen in pink and blue jumpsuits who say, "Oh," whenever they spot you, sludge monsters who look like boogers, ninjas and jetpack robots who gang up on you simultaneously from above and below, tiny pterodactyls, and deadliest of all, fish. I'm not kidding, by the way, the fish will murder you. Every level also pits you against the same mid-boss, a circus strongman type, who will occasionally launch a headbutt attack that makes him look like a deformed thumb with legs. And then there's a unique end boss to finish each stage, like the green goop guy, who shoots green goop at you, because why not? The key to survival in this game is maintaining werewolf mode. By default, you're just a regular non-wolf dude, who can still punch enemies and stuff, but is much less powerful. Picking up red W icons allows you to transform and make use of stronger slash attacks and higher jumps, at least until your health bar is mostly drained and you turn back into a human. Or you accidentally collect a blue W icon, which either devolves you from a werewolf to a sad regular guy, or a sad regular guy to a dead regular guy. Needless to say, it's best to avoid the blue W icons, but definitely collect the other power-ups, like hourglasses to extend the level timer, and orbs to extend your anger meter. A full anger meter turns you into a super werewolf. You'll know you're a super werewolf when your fur glows yellow, you jump super high, and the transformation icon at the bottom right of the screen looks like the regular werewolf if he stuck a fork in an electrical socket. I don't know why the super werewolf mode correlates to anger as the meter suggests, but I spent most of the game feeling extra angry, so I guess that tracks. I mean, this game can be infuriating. For example, there's a charge attack, but it damages you just as much as it damages enemies. There's also a backflip move that you can use by pressing both action buttons at the same time, which is necessary for getting past electric gates and stuff because you're invincible while you spin, but accidentally triggering it on a floating platform can easily send you somersaulting to your doom in an open pit, resulting in this game's trademark tragic grayscale game over cutscene with its unnecessarily long, dramatic funeral chiptune to make you feel extra bad about yourself. But Werewolf's cardinal sin is its reversed controls. Jump is mapped to the B button, and attack is mapped to the A button, which is objectively wrong. Come on, Data East, there was a standard by 1990, and no matter how long I played Werewolf, I couldn't get used to these backwards controls, which is a serious problem in the waterfall level, where I would confuse attack for jump, get hit by a fish, and plummet to a watery grave. Because according to the Old Man Spirit Guide who greets you at the start of each level, water is the natural enemy of the werewolf. I didn't know that was a part of werewolf lore, but he wasn't kidding. There's nothing quite like watching your hulky, scythe-handed hero flail helplessly as he sinks to death in a glorified puddle. I love how the graphics in this game seem to have such a strong American comic book influence. From the cutscenes to the enemy designs, everything suggests that you're out here fighting supervillains, and that being a werewolf is more of a superpower than a curse. And I like the chiptunes here too, even if the standard tracks are the same for each level and boss fight. The most novel aspect of Werewolf is the boss patterns. In most games, you fight enemies by identifying patterns and reacting to them. But here, the boss's behavior is actually affected by which buttons you're pressing at any given time. So you have to directly manipulate their attacks with your own movement to open them up for taking damage. For example, with the bug boss, you have to hold down to trigger its descent so you can land a hit. And with the final boss, you have to make sure you aren't pressing any inputs as he lands a jump, or else he'll just endlessly throw bricks at you instead of charging forward to get within attack range. This is neat, but super difficult to figure out, which drastically increases the challenge level of this game, to the point that I never could have finished it, unless I cheated my way through with save states. And that's especially true because you don't get unlimited continues, and extra lives are hard to come by. My favorite part of Werewolf is the whole League of Supervillains motif that it maintains throughout the whole game. Most video games of this era just seem to throw random bosses in every level, and it rarely feels cohesive. But here, you really get the sense that you're working through the ranks of a curated band of evil mutants, culminating in the fight against Dr. Faryan, who even transforms himself into a werewolf before you take on your ultimate purple mask and cape arch nemesis. And if I could change one thing here, I'd make the enemy spawns a little more consistent. The best action games always have specific locations where enemies appear, so even if they are tricky to defeat, you can rely on the same strategy of attack every time. But here, fish and jetpack guys and electric barriers will just show up anywhere and everywhere to catch you completely off guard. Overall, Werewolf does have the trappings of a fantastic action platformer, and if it weren't for a few control issues and lack of refinement in enemy patterns, I think it could have been among the upper tier of NES games. But I did leave this game feeling satisfied either way, especially when the end screen greeted me with a hilarious, patriotic Wolfman flexing out for a job well done.